All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to unlock a 2,500-year-old strategic principle that's, believe it or not, more relevant than ever. It's an idea so powerful, it can secure your victory long before any kind of battle even begins. So, let me ask you this. What if victory wasn't decided in the heat of the moment? During that tense negotiation or right at a critical product launch? What if the real winner was actually determined way before that by whoever did their homework first? That's the core idea we're really going to unpack today. So, where does this incredible secret come from? Well, it lies in the work of the ancient general and strategist, Sun Tzu. He believed the ultimate victory is one that requires no battle at all. The key to that, he argued, was mastering the environment itself. And this just shifts the focus completely, doesn't it? Victory isn't about having the biggest army or the sharpest swords. It's all about having the deepest understanding. Sun Tzu argued that the environment, the very ground you stand on, is what sets the rules of the game. And whoever understands those rules best wins. It's as simple as that. To get this deep understanding, Sun Tzu gave us a really powerful framework. He called it heaven and earth. Now, these aren't some kind of mystical concepts. They're actually super practical tools for getting total situational awareness. You can think of them as the two fundamental forces that shape every single strategic interaction you will ever have. Let's break this down. Earth is the physical, stable part of your landscape. Think of it like the board in a chess game. The distances, the obstacles, the resources. Heaven, on the other hand, well, that's the atmosphere. It's the dynamic, always changing conditions like market timing, the tempo of operations, the flow of information, even the climate of public opinion. You just can't win by mastering only one. You've got to understand how they interact. Okay, so to truly master Earth, Sun Tzu went even a step further. He didn't just see a generic landscape, he developed this brilliant classification system, identifying specific types of terrain that have really predictable effects on both strategy and psychology. And here's the absolutely brilliant part. This isn't just about geography. Each of these terrains creates a distinct psychological state in the people who are operating in it. And for each state, Sun Tzu prescribes a specific action. So if you know the terrain, you can predict how people are going to feel, and you'll know exactly what you need to do. Let's just look at a few examples to make this real. Contentious terrain. This is that high-stakes area that everyone wants. The action? You got to get there first. Then there's encircled terrain. This is where your options are cut off, and it breeds desperation. The only way out? A surprise plan. And then you have mortal terrain. This is where there is absolutely no escape. It forces total commitment. You're back against the wall, and you just have to fight with everything you've got. Okay, but what in the world do ancient battlefields have to do with your quarterly report or your next software release? This is where it gets really interesting. This is where we translate these timeless concepts into our modern world of business, technology, and career strategy. So I really want you to think about this with me. As we go through these next couple of examples, I want you to picture your current project. What is your strategic landscape? Where are your hills? Where are your narrow passes and your marshlands? Because trust me, they are definitely there. Let's start with a classic, high ground. Today, this isn't a physical hill, of course. It's a position of leverage. It's having the dominant tech standard that everyone else has to build on top of. It's owning that central node in a network. From this high ground, you can see the entire market and you can influence its direction. Next up, let's consider the narrow pass. In ancient times, right, it was a choke point where a tiny force could hold off a massive one. Today, that's a regulatory hurdle, an exclusive distribution deal, or a technology gateway like an app store. It's any point that controls access and the flow of everything else. And finally, we have the dreaded marshland. Oh man, this is anything that creates drag, consumes your energy, and just slows you down without any real progress. Think about endless bureaucracy, or wrestling with outdated legacy systems, or being stuck on a project with vague goals. Sun Tzu's advice? Cross it as fast as you can, or even better, just avoid it completely. So understanding these modern translations is one thing, but how do you actually apply them? How do you create a map of your own strategic environment? Let's walk through a super practical way to get it done. The key here is to move from these kind of abstract ideas to a concrete tool you can use. You can systematically analyze your situation using a simple 3-layer scan, which we're going to break down right now. First, map the physical layer. That's your Earth. You're going to analyze your assets, your channels, your choke points. Second, assess the human layer. This is the morale of your team, the signals you're getting from competitors, the state of your alliances. It's the living, breathing element on the terrain. And finally, you've got to read the atmospheric layer, your heaven. What's the market timing? Who's setting the tempo? And who controls the flow of information? But look, understanding your environment is only the first step. This final section is all about going from being an analyst to becoming an architect. Because the true masters of strategy, they don't just read the map, they redraw it. This is the huge leap from being just a player in the game to being the game designer. The most advanced strategists, they don't just react to the terrain they're given, they actively shape the environment to create advantages that didn't even exist before. They literally change the board itself. So how does this work in practice? Well, you create a new platform that becomes the industry's new high ground. You turn an open market into a narrow pass by creating a deadline or a decision point, what we call a forcing function that makes everyone act on your terms. You are literally designing the conditions for your own success. So let's just recap the core takeaways here. First, always evaluate both the atmosphere and the terrain. Second, classify your terrain so you can understand its psychological effect and know the prescribed action. Third, translate these ancient ideas into your modern landscape. And finally, the ultimate goal, redesign your environment to build an advantage before the battle ever even begins. Which leaves us with one final question to think about. Your strategic environment, whether that's your company, your industry, or even your career, is a game board. So are you content to simply play the game according to the existing rules? Or are you going to be the one who designs the board itself?